good morning, and welcome to another live here with me, Asia Nasir, on Wake Up Wednesdays. So I'm so glad to be back here this morning to talk about a topic that, to be honest with you, I was a little nervous to come on. I am a certified life coach. However, I am not a therapist or psychologist or psychiatrist, even. And today we're going to be talking about a topic that is extremely, extremely serious. And the reason why I wanted to have this conversation is because a lot of our teen girls and a lot of our women are suffering in silence, really suffering in silence. And um, in light of September, which is the month that we're in light of the fact that September is Suicide Prevention Month or Suicide Awareness Month, I felt that this was a topic that needed to be discussed on our platform here, being that we encourage light, enlightenment, clarity, uh, self awareness, self reflection in order to move into a space of being the best version, of ourselves. So, for some of you that are new to our platform here on Wake Up Wednesdays, as I mentioned before, my name is Asia Nasir, and I am the founder of a nonprofit organization called Jessica Cares. And that is a female empowerment platform that works to empower teen girls and women to be the best versions of themselves. And Wake Up Wednesdays is just one of the byproducts of some of the things that we started just last year in order to keep us in that space of constantly reflecting and looking at ourselves and being reminded of things and ways and strategies for us to be able to move in a direction of, you know, um, doing away with the old and implementing the new and better. And, like the saying goes, when you know better, you do better. So that is what Wake Up Wednesdays is all about. I mentioned before, this week is going to be about breaking the silence and talking about suicidal thoughts. And again, September is the month, and actually today is Suicide Prevention Day, which is September 10th. And so, what better topic than to have on that? And so, before we actually start on, strategies in which to prevent this, strategies in which to overcome this, what to look for, all of these different things to do this together. So if before we start, if you know someone, whether it's your daughter, whether it's um, your goddaughter, whether it's a friend of yours, female friend of yours, that you think should be listening to this, something that they need to hear, please tag them on here. Right now, we are currently on Facebook. And speaking of Facebook, let me go to Facebook and see, because lately we've been having some issues going on Facebook and being live on my personal page. So I'm hoping that today I'm going to be able to unlock that, which I'm not. For some reason, while I'm taping, they're not allowing me to change the privacy status, and it has it locked where only I see it, no matter how many times I change it. So not sure what's going on with that, but if there's someone that you think should hear, have them go to our Jessica Cares page on Facebook. We're here now on LinkedIn as well as on YouTube. So let's get right into, the conversation that we need to have today. And is, as I mentioned before, and you can see it here, breaking silence, talking about suicidal thoughts and finding hope. So that's what it's all about. It's about finding hope. And so before we start, I want to just give you some statistics because I was actually, shocked at what I found. And I think this kind of gives light to why this conversation is so important. So again, our platform is working with teen girls and women. And so I want to share some statistics that I think you might be surprised on. 30% of teen girls, and we're talking about girls between the ages of 14 and 18, 30% of teen girls, and I wrote it down because I did not want to get this wrong, 30% of teen girls between the ages of 14 and 18 have seriously, that means they've done their due diligence, seriously considered suicide. 13% of them actually attempted the suicide. And for those of them that have teetered between that, 57, so you're talking about more than half, 57% of our teen girls in that age range consistently, persistently feel depressed, sad, and 30% of that 50%, 57% have actually contemplated suicide, and 5.9 of the girls, so you're talking about basically 6% of our girls between the ages of 14 and 18 have actually succeeded in committing suicide. Between the ages of 14 and 18, I want you to let that sink in, to the point of suicide. And what was more shocking was preteens. You know, we're finding that preteens are even committing suicide and so forth. So for our preteens, now this is between the ages of 8 and 12. Our platform works with girls ranging from 12 to 17, but sometimes we take girls at age 11. So between the ages of 8 and 12, the suicide rate for them, we're talking about succeed, is 8.2%. 8.2%, and each year this is rising. Now, these are statistics given to us from Yale School of Medicine, the CDC, right? Time. These are reliable sources that are giving us this. And amongst the women, for every 100,000, same thing, 6% of women are actually committing suicide. And they're ranging between the ages of 45 and 64. 45 and 64%. So I wanted to just kind of share those statistics because I want you to see how serious this is. How serious this is. And when we're talking about, you know, our teen girls and our women, let's just share what are the reasons, what are the main reasons why one would commit suicide. So for our teen girls, it is feeling the pressure of societal norms and that they don't fit in. So that has to do with body shaming, body weight, economic, you know, status, where you live, you know, not having, you know, it's the haves and the have-nots. We have our girls committing suicide. Bullying is another one. Peer pressure to be who you're not, letting that define you. Rejection from, you know, or feeling abandonment from either friends or an intimate partner. So we're talking about teenagers. And for women, it has been the devastation of divorce, financial loss, whether it's loss of a job or going through a divorce or abandonment, where women are having children and the father chooses not to be a part of that child's life or that woman's life any longer. And these are women that are, or substance abuse. That's another one. Substance abuse has been the cause for many of these attempted suicides and actual suicides, where people have actually succeeded in unaliving themselves. So this is really, really important that we have this conversation. So this is a sensitive topic. And so what I want to do now is talk about what are the signs. You know, if you're not sure, you're noticing some changes, but you're not sure, does this fall within, you know, someone that I care about wanting to actually commit suicide or contemplating doing it right now. So what are the signs that someone may be thinking about this is withdrawal, you know, becoming very antisocial, even amongst the family, even within the house. You know, they're staying in their room, they're withdrawing from family, don't want to participate. So if you have game night at your home, or if you sit as a family, or if you watch TV as a family, maybe you have Netflix nights and things like that in your family, and this particular child or adult is isolating themselves. Isolation, you know, and themselves from that in their friends are asking them to go out, they're not wanting to, you're not wanting to go out anymore. That's a sign. Things that, any social activities, they're not wanting to go, they don't want to participate, things like that, just isolating themselves from friends and family, staying their hygiene, things like that. Now, I don't want you to take just one sign that, oh, this person is thinking about doing that. No, but I just want you to look at a variety of different things to see if this is something that you're seeing in this person. The other one is expressing feelings of hopelessness, that life is not worth living. They hate their life, you know, or feeling like they're a burden to their family. They don't want to talk. They don't want to, because they feel like what they're going through or who they are, and maybe that they're a burden to the family, or yet that they have no hope of life. They have no goals. They don't aspire for any goals. They don't feel happy about the future, and they don't see themselves in the future, actually expressing, not having any hope about their life. The third is actually talking about wanting to die. Don't want to be here anymore. I hate my life. I wish I wasn't here. I would be better off, not here, things like that, actually expressing that and actually researching, you know, in their life. Now, we know that this is for the parents. If you have access to your children's computer, or if you have access, to what they look up on their phone, maybe, you might be able to see what your child is actually looking at. What are they Googling? What are they researching on their computer? These are things that you'll be able to see. And one of the things is like having drastic mood swings. Drastic mood swings. I'm not talking about you had a bad day, and so you're coming home and you're not your best. I'm talking about drastic mood swings where a person will have like this sudden calm, very calm after depression, or extreme irritability, or even rage, anger, maybe lashing out, treating the family a certain way. These are things. And last but not least, loss of interest in things that once meant something to them, something that they held dear. This is a sign that, they're giving away their prized possessions. A lot of times when they have made up their mind that they don't want to move on, they start giving things away that once meant everything to them, or they just discontinue altogether in letting go, dropping out of teams, kind of saying goodbye to people in subtle ways, saying goodbye by giving away things and things like that meant something to them, to leave like something when they're no longer here. So those are signs. So I want you to really take a look at, have I noticed this in my daughter? If you're a spouse, have I noticed this in my wife? Have I noticed this in my friend? My dear friend, do you notice this in your sisterhood, that there's a particular person that was once the life of the party, and now all of a sudden they don't even want to come to the party. They never want to be a part of your social activities anymore. And they're constantly talking about just life not being worth living. These are signs that you should be looking and not brushing off. Oftentimes, after a person commits suicide, the family and friends will say they said this, but I didn't take it serious. I thought they were just talking. No. When it comes to suicide and when it comes to unaliving themselves, this is not something that people just randomly talk about. This is something that you need to take serious, and you need to sit up here and tap to where this is coming from. And we'll talk about that a little later. And the reason why I was a little later as far as like the strategies, but the importance of why you need to talk about this is because I can be deadly. Isolation deepens whatever that person is feeling. It deepens. Why? Because it's only their voice that they're hearing. And if you're a spiritual person like myself and you believe in our enemy, you're listening to that voice that is encouraging these negative thoughts, encouraging this feelings of hopelessness, and no one cares. When someone is feeling like they want to unalive themselves, these are deep, deep negative thoughts that they're feeling about life and for themselves. And when you isolate yourself, or if you notice someone is feeling this and you allow them to continue to stay in a space of isolation, it only deepens the pain that they're in. And the silence can lead to what we've seen in the statistics: people actually unaliving themselves because they feel no one understands, no one cared enough to ask. And so it validates their feeling like, why am I even here? Why even keep going? No one even cares anyway. No one notices what I'm going through, right? So, silence and not talking about something thinking that it's just going to go away. No, it's not. It's going to just get worse. And those thoughts in that loved one is just going to continue to get worse until the point of they want to do something about it, which most of us do. Anytime you're in pain, what do you want to do? You want to get rid of it. You want to stop the pain, whether it's physical or emotional. You want to stop the pain. And in this particular situation, it is something that you cannot come back from. So it's really important you have this hard conversation, whether it's with your teenager or whether it's with your spouse, your friend, or whoever it is, or if it's you that's going through this. Make up your mind to say, let me, if you're listening to my voice right now, let me talk about it with someone. Let me talk about it with someone, and we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. Awareness also leads to action. Awareness also leads to action. By normalizing this conversation, by having these type of discussions, by listening to these type of conversations, you get to see that, this removes the stigma. That having suicidal thoughts doesn't make you a bad person. It just means that you're going through a really bad time. It just means that you're going through a really bad time and you're really having a hard time coping with this bad time. All of us go through things. Some cope with it a little bit better. It doesn't mean that one is better than the other one. When you open up and you actually speak to trusted individuals, when you speak to professionals, it gives you the understanding that, I don't have to feel bad about myself that I'm even having these thoughts. The bad thing is doing nothing about it. Right? Not talking about it. So it not only removes the stigma, but it also, do that. Person that's listening on the other end gets to encourage you to get help and encourage you to, let's look for where we can help you stop this pain and where we can go to help you, gain clear perspective on what you're going through, and that you're not alone. And that you're not alone. And more importantly, for the person that's hearing, for that courage, for that person to finally say, I need help. I'm going through something. I don't want to be here anymore. To let that person know that they're not being judged. That they're not being judged. That we're just going through a rough time and we're going to get through this together. So if you're listening to me right now and you felt that no one understood and no one cared, this is your sign that yes, someone does care. Jessica cares, and we want you to be okay. We don't want you to deal with this alone, because you're not alone. There's a lot of people, more people than you know, that are dealing with the same things. And if you look at what's happening around the world, it's pretty tough these days. It's pretty tough these days. I often sit and I think about my childhood and I'm like, what I would not do for a day, to live in the times that I was living in the 80s and, the 90s. That was like glorious days compared to what life looks like, just not in personal life. I'm talking about just in the world altogether, here domestically and internationally. It's rough. It's rough. So, feeling, like overwhelmed and like that, there is no shame in that. It's how do we cope with it in a healthy way, so that way we don't take these type of drastic, irrevocable, ways in which to cope with stress, cope with hopelessness, cope with depression. Right? So here are some strategies that I have used with my students, or the girls that participate and the women participate. We've even used this because I'm a chaplain as well. We use this actually in the women's prison. When I used to work at the women's prison here in New Jersey, yeah, these are some coping mechanisms that can really help you to be able to kind of get yourself out of that. So one thing I want to make clear is that depression is not a every day, every second of the moment day. There are moments that even people who struggle with depression have those moments where you feel like, I feel good today, or I feel good in this moment, right? It may not be long lived, but you do have moments, right? So in that moment, a better day, or I'm feeling today's been kind of good. I want you to create what's called a visual map, or purpose a map for yourself, something visual. So it's to a vision board. You know, you hear vision, your goals on this, big board or something like that. This is a little different, very similar, but a little bit different. So when you're having on those good days and you're feeling like, you know what, today's all right, I want you to get one of those big boards that they use for, a vision board. You can get them at anywhere. You can go to Walmart, you can go to Target, you can go to any one of those stores. You can get, well, a dollar store, they have. Get one, and I want you to put your name right in the middle. Put your name right in the middle in bold letters. And then around it, I want you kind of like a tree. I want you to branch out and think of bright colors. Take images, cut out images that not just your goals. I'm not talking about that, but represent your past wins, your past accomplishments, things that you've accomplished, whether that's graduating, getting married, whether that's having your child, whether that's honor roll, whatever it is, whatever it is that you was a huge accomplishment. Maybe you learned a language, instrument, whatever it was, big or small. I want you to get pictures represent all of those things that you have accomplished in life, what you feel is your past wins, and pictures of things that represent your current strengths, things that you're good at, right? Things that people tell you that you're good at. That's what I want you on. And then you can put, things on there that you think about in the future. But I want this to be more of a vision, past wins, current strength that you have. And the reason why this is so important is because it allows you to expand your perspective. It allows you to expand your perspective. And the impact also, this is really important, add impact points, your presence matter. And I'm going to give you another way in which to do that. But on this vision board, I want you to put things on here, your name right in the middle, and then branch out, have like little branches of visuals, pictures of things that you've accomplished up to that point in your life, as well as your current strengths. What do you know you're good at, and what are you told on a repeated basis that yeah, I'm known for this. This is really good. And I want you to represent that. This is something tangible. So on the days that you're feeling like it wouldn't matter anymore, I want you to look at that, and I want you to see that my life is worth something. It connects you to something greater than your pain. It connects you to something greater than your pain. It's something tangible that you can look at. If I've accomplished this in spite of all the things that I've been feeling, what more could I do in the future if I just give myself a chance, right? And the second thing is, as I mentioned before, is, you could put this on that vision board, is adding those impact points, how your presence matters to others. A lot of times when you're going through something, you're only hearing yourself. You're only seeing, how you see life on through your lens, but not through the lens of others. So if you want to do a separate project, and this is something that I actually did with a family member years ago when they got really bad news and they felt like, I'm different, something's wrong with me, I don't, life is all bad. What I did was, all the people that meant something to this person, grandparent, aunt, friends, teachers, coaches, all of these different people that actually had a role in this person's life, I had them write a letter to this person. And I actually recommended this to one of my parents for one of our girls who had actually attempted unaliving herself, to invite all of her friends, the people that she loved, right? And actually have these individuals write a letter to her telling this person what they mean to them, what their presence means to them, how they have impacted lives. Because a lot of times, as you know, in the entertainment business and things like that, people don't get their flowers when they're alive. People get their flowers when they're gone, and they can't smell those flowers. They can't hear, what they meant to other people, and the impact that they made on other people. If you see someone, get some letters from people that they care about, to write them a letter. Handwrite it, not text messages. It's so easy to do that. I'm talking about handwrite letters to this person, letting them know the impact and what they mean to them. And when this person reads that, they get to see a different perspective. They don't only see the lens of themselves and what they're going through. They get to see how their friends and their family feels about them. So that's another way. These are some simple tricks that you can use that scientifically, the psychiatry from these social service world have said that works. And that is sprint in place for 60 seconds, right? Sprint in place for 60 seconds. It kind of gets your mind off of feeling still and depressed and, sad. Stand in one place and sprint for 60 seconds, because now your body's going through something, and now it's putting your focus on something other than what you're thinking about. And I did this when I went through my divorce from my children's father. I was feeling like a failure. I felt like I failed. My family failed. That's how I felt. And what I did was I listened to a particular song every single morning. Every morning I listened to this song while I was getting dressed. I was getting my kids ready for work, in the car on my way to work. I was listening to this song, and that was the song Survivor from Destiny's Child. And it really was that pick me up. It really was that pick me up, like, you know what, I'm going to get past this, regardless of what I've been through, regardless of what I'm feeling, I can survive this. I can get past this, right? So if you have a song that when you hear it, it inspires you, it gives you goosebumps, it makes you feel good, it's a pick me up for you. If you're feeling in that moment, listen to it on repeat if you have to, until you can feel like, okay, I'm getting a handle on my emotions, and I'm not feeling as desperate to just want to do something drastic, right? That's one. And this one's a physical one. And I never tried this one before, or I've ever suggested this to anyone before, but taking a cold shower. Taking a cold shower, because it says that it actually physically shocks the nervous system. It shocks the nervous system, and it puts you in a moment of presence versus what you're thinking about. It makes you start thinking about the present, kind of like running in place, or for 60 seconds. It's the same thing. It puts you in a mindset where it reprograms the brain to no longer think about what you were thinking about, but focusing more on the present. It releases endorphins when for it shifts your brain from problem, from hopelessness to problem solving. Now you're thinking about, how can I get warm, because you're in the shower, you're running in place. How can I get some water? How can I, relax myself, catch my breath? Now you're thinking about things. These are just simple tricks that psychiatrists and psychologists have mentioned that actually work. So I'm going to share with you in conclusion some of these uh, some resources that you can go to, because sometimes it's not easy. And the reason why I'm looking away from the screen is I'm just looking for those resources, so that way I can share it with you. Okay. All right. So I'm going to type this in the chat, so that way you can get some of these resources, because sometimes, as I mentioned before, you don't want to keep it to yourself, but you need to speak to someone. And you may not have that someone there in your house, or feel like you can, or even at school. So here are some resources to help you to reach out to someone if you're feeling The National Suicidal Prevention, I just put it here, is you can text to 988 and it gets you to a lifeline, someone who can actually speak to you. And here's a website if you want to see more about it or learn more about it. I'm going to put that in the chat now for you. So I don't want to just leave you with, hey, do this, but then your life, something that can really help you. Here's another one. So I'm leaving, it's going to be a few of them on here so you can pick which one works for you. And it's easy. You can actually use your phone and just text. And this one here that I'm leaving you, all you have to do is type in on your phone, text home to 741741, and actually it connects you to a crisis counselor. A crisis counselor will come on here. And last but not least, you have American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And this organization actually has support groups, gives you education on what you're going through, and additional resources that can help you. So you can look them up. It'll have their contact information. So it's right here in the chat where you can actually, reach out to resources if you're really feeling like I can't shake this feeling off. It's getting worse. My thoughts are getting worse. So as we close today in our Wake Up Wednesday, today wasn't one of the happiest conversations, but sometimes we have to have those difficult conversations in order to, stay positive and be in a positive space. So as we close this Wake Up Wednesday, I just want you to know who's listening here, whether you're a teenage girl, whether you're an adult woman who's going through something, or if you're listening in because you know of someone who is. I want you to let them know. And if you're listening for yourself, that you are heard, you're seen, you're loved, you're appreciated, and you're valued, and you're not alone. We're here for you, whether it's, my organization, Jessica Cares, we can connect you with people, but there are family members, there are friends, there are people who really care about you. And last but not least, as I mentioned before, one of the biggest resources that you can use, I'm a spiritual person, is prayer. My faith believes that prayer is the weapon of the believer. A weapon is used to fight off things that are meant to hurt you. So prayer is definitely something that can be used as a resource to help and really have that conversation with your creator and asking for resources, asking to remove what you're feeling aside from these, other than take action, work in harmony with your prayer to help yourself, right? Because, while God is capable of doing, he doesn't force us to do anything. And so we got to take that step to be able to show that we want help in order for him to then place the blessings on what it is that we want. So if we're asking for healing, if we're asking for resources, if we're asking for connection, if we're asking for that help, work in harmony with your prayer so then the blessings can be added onto that for the best results. Don't shy away from these conversations. Speak to someone, a trusted person. Social media is not the platform to share suicidal thoughts or contemplation of suicide. There are some evil people behind those keyboards that are going to encourage, actually know, that have actually encouraged teenagers to unalive themselves. This is not what you want. You want to be able to have these type of conversations with people that are trusted. So please, please make sure that you are having these conversations with your loved ones. Make sure that you're sharing with your loved ones what you're going through. Don't hide it. If it's a guidance counselor, anyone that you feel you can speak to, so that way you can, get help. And if you feel like you can't, reach out. I'm going to put our website here. We actually have, we'll get you in contact with someone who, that's not what we specialize in. Definitely have resources of individuals that we talk to and that we, you know, so those are some resources that you can reach out. We're here for you. We want you to be okay, and we want you here for the long haul. So that is what I wanted to share with you today on our Wake Up Wednesday. Stay tuned, because in 2 weeks we're going to be back with another, important topic of how to better oneself, how to be the best versions of yourself, and how to push past in a healthy way things that we need to do in order to get to that final destination of constantly improving and working on ourselves. So thank you so much for tuning in. And if you just, caught the end of it, there will be the replay on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook for that. And at 11:15 today, we'll be on our Instagram page sharing the same information. So thank you so much for tuning in, and God willing, we'll see you in a couple of weeks.